Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So Hare Krishna, dear devotees, thank you for joining us today. We're very fortunate to have Shruti, who is going to recite the Sanskrit of the 8th chapter of Canto 2, and the title of the chapter is Questions by King Parikshit. So we're going to see lots and lots of questions today by King Parikshit to Sukadeva Goswami. English, yeah, good point. So first, I can't remember exactly how many verses there are. Let me just check how many verses we're doing. 6 verses. So maybe Kaushalya Mataji, would you like to do the first 6 verses and then we'll swap it around?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. So Shruti, you can start, and you can do any invocation you like to start.
First, sorry, Prabhuji, I didn't quite catch that. How many verses?
6 verses.
First 6, okay.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Rajovacha Brahmana Chodito Brahman Gunakhyane Gunasya Cha Yasmai Yatha Praha Narado Deva Darshanah.
King Parikshit inquired from Sukadeva Goswami, how did Narada Muni, whose hearers are as fortunate as those instructed by Lord Brahma, explain the transcendental qualities of the Lord, who is without material qualities, and before whom did he speak?
Shruti, shall I put the Sanskrit Devanagari script?
That's okay, Prabhuji. I have the website open on my laptop as
Oh,
well.
okay. Wonderful.
Yeah, but if any of the other devotees wish to see the Sanskrit text, by all means, Prabhuji.
Sure. If anybody does, let us know and we'll put the Sanskrit as well. Thank you.
I'll continue, Prabhuji.
Okay. Yes, please. Thank you.
Etad veditum ichhami tattvam tattvavidamvara harir adbhuta viryasya kathaloka sumangala.
The king said, I wish to know narrations concerning the Lord, who possess wonderful potencies, are certainly auspicious for living beings in all planets.
Kathayasva mahabhaga yathaham akhilatmani krishne niveshya nissangam manastyakshe kalevaram.
O greatly fortunate Sukadeva Goswami, please continue narrating Srimad Bhagavatam so that I can place my mind upon the Supreme Soul, Lord Krishna, and being completely freed from material qualities, thus relinquish this body.
Shrinvata shraddhaya nityam grinatascha svacheshtitam kalena nati dirghena bhagavan vishate hridi.
Persons who hear Srimad Bhagavatam regularly and are always taking the matter very seriously will have the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna manifested in their hearts within a short time.
Pravishtah karnarandhrena swanam bhavasaroruham dhunoti shamalam krishnah salilasya yatha sharat.
The second incarnation of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Soul, Srimad Bhagavatam, enters into the heart of a self-realized devotee, sits on the lotus flower of his loving relationship, and thus cleanses the dust of material association, such as lust, anger, and hankering. Thus it acts like autumnal rains upon pools of muddy water.
Dhautatma Purusha Krishna पादमूलं न मुञ्चति मुक्तसर्वपरिक्लेशः पान्थः स्वशरणं यथा.
A pure devotee of the Lord, whose heart has once been cleansed by the process of devotional service, never relinquishes the lotus feet of the Lord Krishna, for they fully satisfy him, as a traveler is satisfied at home after a troubled journey.
Wonderful, thank you. So this is really glorifying. The king, Parikshit Maharaj, is glorifying the Bhagavatam. Listening to it regularly gives us an exit out of this world. Maharaj Parikshit, he praises Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the sound incarnation of Lord Krishna. So actually, Bhagavatam is not any different from the Lord himself. When we listen to the Bhagavatam, we are actually listening to the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. And when heard regularly, enters into the hearts of the devotees, sits on the lotus of his loving relationship, and thus cleanses the dust of material association, such as lust, anger, hankering. So unfortunately, in this world, we are very much in the thick of it, full of lust, anger, greed, so many crazy qualities. But this Bhagavatam is actually something that gives us this cleansing effect on our bad habits, bad qualities. So regularly important to associate with the Bhagavatam. How do we associate? We read, we hear classes on the Bhagavatam, chant the Bhagavatam like we're doing today. Shruti is giving us this fantastic opportunity to hear the Sanskrit of the verses, which is actually quite a rare event. Hardly you will hear the Sanskrit of the Bhagavatam. So we are really, really fortunate. It's been one of my desires for a long time to hear the Sanskrit narration of the Bhagavatam. So it's really, really good. Thus it acts like autumnal rains, autumn rains upon pools of muddy water. And so it cleanses the muddy water from our dirty hearts. The devotee takes shelter of the Lord's lotus feet like a traveler who has finally come home. So now it's up to verse 23. And I wonder, is Shevi, Punamataji, is Shevi there? She'd like to read? Or if she's not, you can read.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
I can read, Prabhuji. Shaiva is not around.
No problem, no problem. Okay, go for it.
Okay, Prabhuji. 23.
23.
यद् अधातुमतो ब्रह्मन् देहारम्भोऽस्य धातुभिः यदृच्छया हेतुना वा भवन्तो जानते यथा.
O learned Brahman, the transcendental spirit soul is different from the material body. Does he acquire the body accidentally or by some cause? Will you kindly explain this, for it is known to you?
So this is a chapter where Parikshit Maharaj asks questions. So you're going to see now maybe, 25 questions come from Parikshit Maharaj. And these are really amazing questions.
आसीद् यद् उदरात् पद्मं लोकसंस्थानलक्षणं यावान् अयं वै पुरुष इयत्तावयवैः पृथक् तावान् असाव इति प्रोक्तः संस्थावयववान् इव.
If the Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whose abdomen the lotus stem sprouted, is possessed by a gigantic body according to his own caliber and measurement, then what is the specific difference between the body of the Lord and those of common living entities?
अजः सृजति भूतानि भूतात्मा यद् अनुग्रहात् ददृशे येन तद् रूपं नाभिपद्मसमुद्भवः.
Brahma, who was not born of a material source, but of the lotus flower coming out of the navel abdomen of the Lord, is the creator of all those who are materially born. Of course, by the grace of the Lord, Brahma was able to see the form of the Lord.
स चापि यत्र पुरुषो विश्वस्थित्युद्भवाप्ययः मुक्त्वात्ममायां मायेशः शेते सर्वगुहाशयः.
Please also explain the personality of Godhead, who lies in every heart as the Supersoul and as the Lord of all energies, but is untouched by his external energy.
पुरुषावयवैर्लोकाः सपालाः पूर्वकल्पिताः लोकैरमुष्यावयवाः सपालैरिति शुश्रुम.
O learned Brahmana, it was formally explained that all the planets of the universe, with their respective governors, are situated in the different parts of the gigantic body of the Virat Purusha. I have also heard that the different planetary systems are supposed to be in the gigantic body of the Virat Purush. But what is their actual position? Will you please explain that?
Yeah.
यावान् कल्पो विकल्पो वा यथा कालोऽनुमीयते भूतभव्यभवच्छब्द आयुर्मानं च यत्सतः.
Also, please explain the duration of time between creation and annihilation and that of other subsidiary creations, as well as the nature of time indicated by the sound of past, present, and future. Also, please explain the duration and measurement of life of the different living beings known as the demigods, the human beings, etc., in different planets of the universe.
कालस्यानुगतिर्यातु लक्ष्यतेऽन्विबृहत्यपि यावत्यः कर्मगतयो यादृशीर्द्विजसत्तमा.
O purest of the Brahmins, please also explain the cause of the different durations of time, both short and long, as well as the beginning of time, following the course of action.
यस्मिन् कर्म समावायो यथा येनोपगृह्यते गुणानां गुणिनां चैव परिणामम् अभीप्सताम्.
Then again, kindly describe how the proportionate accumulation of the reactions resulting from the different modes of material nature act upon the desiring living being, promoting or degrading him among the different species of life, beginning from the demigods down to the most insignificant creatures.
भूपातालककुव्योम ग्रहनक्षत्रभूभृतां सरित्समुद्रद्वीपानां सम्भवश्चैतदोकसाम्.
O best of the Brahmins, please also describe how the creation of the globes throughout the universe, the four directions of the heavens, the sky, the planets, the stars, the mountains, the rivers, the seas, and the islands, as well as the different kinds of inhabitants, takes place.
प्रमाणम् अण्डकोशस्य बाह्याभ्यन्तरभेदतः महतां चानुचरितं वर्णाश्रमविनिश्चयः.
Also, Please describe the inner and outer space of the universe by specific divisions, as well as the character and activities of the great souls, and also the characteristics of the different classifications of the castes and orders of social life.
युगानि युगमानं च धर्मो यश्च युगे युगे अवतारानुचरितं यदाश्चर्यतमं हरेः.
Please explain all the different ages in the duration of the creation and also the duration of such ages. Also tell me about the different activities of the different incarnations of the Lord in different ages.
नृणां साधारणो धर्मः सविशेषश्च यादृशः श्रेणीनां राजर्षीणां च धर्मः कृच्छ्रेषु जीवताम्.
Please also explain what may generally be the common religious affiliations of human society, as well as the specific occupational duties in religion, the classification of the social orders, as well as the administrative royal orders, and the religious principles for one who may be in distress.
तत्त्वानां परिसङ्ख्यानं लक्षणं हेतुलक्षणं पुरुषाराधनविधेर्योगस्याध्यात्मिकस्य च.
Kindly explain all about the elementary principles of creation, the number of such elementary principles, their causes and their development, and also the process of devotional service and the method of mystic powers.
योगेश्वरैश्वर्यगतिर्लिङ्गभङ्गस्तु योगिनां वेदोपवेदधर्माणाम् इतिहासपुराणयोः.
What are the opulences of the great mystics, and what is the ultimate realization? How does the perfect mystic become detached from the subtle astral body? What is the basic knowledge of the Vedic literatures, including the branches of history and the supplementary Puranas?
सम्प्लवः सर्वभूतानां विक्रमः प्रतिसङ्क्रमः इष्टापूर्तस्य काम्यानां त्रिवर्गस्य च यो विधिः.
Please explain unto me how the living beings are generated, how they are maintained, and how they are annihilated. Tell me also of the advantages and disadvantages of discharging devotional service unto the Lord. What are the Vedic rituals and injunctions of the supplementary Vedic rites? And what are the procedures of religion, economic development, and sense satisfaction?
यो वानुषायिणां सर्गः पाषण्डस्य च सम्भवः आत्मनो बन्धमोक्षौ च व्यवस्थानं स्वरूपतः.
Please also explain how, merged in the body of the Lord, living beings are created, and how the infidels appear in the world. Also, please explain how the unconditioned living entities exist.
यथात्मतन्त्रो भगवान् विक्रीडत्यात्ममायया विसृज्य वा यथा मायाम् उदास्ते साक्षिवद्विभुः.
The independent personality of Godhead enjoys his pastimes by his internal potency, and at the time of annihilation gives them up to the external potency, and he remains a witness to it all.
Great, thank you. So many questions. So he requests Sukadeva Goswami to continue explaining the glories of the Lord, his creation and his devotees. So let's have a quick look at the questions. How does the spirit soul acquire the material body? Important question. So all of these questions are addressed throughout the Bhagavatam. Difference between the Lord's body and ours, as they look similar, because we are spirit soul, the Lord is the supreme spirit soul. The difference is the quantity. The Lord is unlimited. We are limited. Even as the spirit soul, we have limits. And how does the spirit soul acquire the material body? Through the desire of the spirit soul. He wants to be separate from the Supreme Lord for whatever reason. And the original reason is envy, because he's envious of the Supreme Lord, the position of the Supreme. He wants to know what it's like. So the Lord creates this world to facilitate that desire of the soul. How the Lord lies in everyone as a super soul, because he expands himself as Shirodakshaya Vishnu. So everyone in this material world has two souls in the body. One is themselves, and the second is the supreme soul, Paramatma. Was Brahma able to see the form of the Lord? Yes, eventually. How is the Lord untouched by his external energy? What is the actual position of the planetary system? So that's going to be a big chunk of Canto 5, where it talks about the different planetary systems. Explain the various durations and measurements of time in different planets. Explain the cause of different durations of time. So time is has such different connotations in this world and in the spiritual world. And even within this world, there are the higher planetary systems have a different conception of time to our time. Explain the different karmic reactions to actions. So this is covered as well in the 5th canto. How creation takes place. So that's going to be coming up shortly. The character and activities of the great souls. So this is described from Canto 3 onwards, and throughout the Bhagavatam we see the description of various great souls, characteristics of different classification of the castes and the orders of social life. So again, that is addressed in the Bhagavatam. Explain all the different ages and the duration of the creation. So that's explained as well in conjunction with time. The different activities of different incarnations of the Lord in different ages. So again, that's given some good time in the Bhagavatam description of it. The process of devotional service and the method of mystic powers. So devotional service is actually throughout the Bhagavatam, devotional service is very prominently described. And mystic powers as well, we will see how certain devotees have mystic powers. Explain the common religious affiliations of human society and their specific occupational duties in religion. The classification of the social orders as well as the administrative royal orders. So that there's quite a lot on the different manus who've come, and within the different manus, the different Prajapatis and rulers. The religious principles for one who may be in distress. This is very important, because in this material world, there is, practically speaking, only distress. There's perhaps some moments in our life, there may be some sort of lack of distress, but essentially distress is a very big part of our lives in this world, because we are alien to this world. This is not the place where we belong. But unfortunately, we are under the illusion that we think this is our home. So that leads to huge distress. What are the opulences of the great mystics and their ultimate realization? How does the perfect mystic become detached from subtle astral body? What is this subtle astral body? That's the mind, intelligence, and ego. We have two bodies. One is the gross body made of earth, water, fire, air, ether. The second is mind, intelligence, and ego. What is a basic knowledge of Vedic literatures, including the history and the Puranas, how the living entities are generated, maintained, and annihilated. What are the advantages and disadvantages of discharging devotional service onto the Lord? The advantage is huge. We get out of this world. The disadvantages, well, if we want to continue to live in this crazy world, then we should not take up devotional service, because by taking up devotional service, we will ultimately reach the supreme destination. What are the Vedic rituals and injunctions of the supplementary Vedic rites? So he explains that. We see some of that coming through in the 10th canto. What are the procedures of religion, economic development, and sense gratification? Explain how merged in the body of the Lord, living entities are created. So we'll see that soon. How the infidels appear in this world. Again, we'll see how that happens through the process of creation. Explain how the unconditioned living entities exist. So those, what does that mean? We are conditioned by this material world, by especially the three modes of material nature, which basically govern everything around us. So those three modes influence how we behave. Those who are not conditioned live in the spiritual world. They're not affected by the three modes because they're under the control or under the jurisdiction of the Supreme Lord. So that's it. Those are the questions. Now, I think up to the end, 29, up to the end, we just finished at the end now, I think. So let's share. Okay, Shruti, over to you. Puna Mataji, you can continue.
Hare Krishna. Sarvam etaccha bhagavan pritchato menu purvashah tatvatorhasyudahartum prapannaya mahamune.
O great sage, representative of the Lord, kindly satisfy my inquisitiveness in all that I have inquired from you, and all that I may not have inquired from you, from the very beginning of my questionings. Since I am a soul surrendered unto you, please impart full knowledge in this connection.
Atra pramanam hi bhavan parameshthi yathatma bhuh apare chanutishtanti purvesham purvajaih kritam.
O great sage, you are as good as Brahma, the original living being. Others follow custom only, as followed by the previous philosophical speculators.
Name savah parayanti brahman anashanad ami pibato achyuta piyusham tadvakyabdhi vinisrutam.
O learned Brahmana, because of my drinking the nectar of the message of the infallible personality of Godhead, which is flowing down from the ocean of your speeches, I do not feel any sort of exhaustion due to my fasting.
Suta uvacha sa upamantrito ratnya kathayam iti satpate brahmarato bhrisham prito vishnuratena samsadi.
Sutta Goswami said, thus Sukadeva Goswami being invited, my Maharaj Parikshit speak on topics of Lord Sri Krishna with the devotees was very much pleased.
प्राह भागवतं नाम पुराणं ब्रह्म संहितं ब्रह्मणे भगवत् प्रोक्तं ब्रह्मकल्प उपागते.
He began to reply in inquiries to the inquiries of Maharaj Parikshit by saying that the science of the personality of Godhead was spoken first by the Lord himself to Brahma when he was first born. Srimad Bhagavatam is the supplementary Vedic literature, and it's just in pursuance of the Vedas.
यद्यत् परीक्षित ऋषभः पाण्डूनाम् अनुपृच्छति आनुपूर्वेण तत्सर्वम् आख्यातुम् उपचक्रमे.
He also prepared himself to reply to all that King Parikshit had inquired from him. Maharaj Parikshit was the best in dynasty and of the Pandavas, and thus he was able to ask the right questions from the right person. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Well done. Was that Kathan?
Katit.
Katit. Well done, Katit. Thank you so much. You read so nicely.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, were you both reading? My goodness. Okay, very good, Kathan and Katit. Okay, so this last bit. The king said, "O great sage, representative of the Lord, kindly satisfy my inquisitiveness in all that I have inquired from you, and all that I may not have inquired from you from the very beginning of my questionings. Since I am a soul surrendered unto you, please impart full knowledge in this connection." So this is a really great attitude. Sometimes we see the mood of the questioner is, I want to know the answer and I want to know it within a minute, and that's all I've got for you. Well, it's, in order to become a doctor, you have to do so many years of studies. In order to understand the spiritual science, you have to do lifetimes of studies. In a minute, you're not going to gather anything. So this is really a wonderful style of questioning of King Parikshit. And when questions are asked, three people benefit. The one who's asking, the one who's answering, and the one who's listening, the audience. So everybody benefits, especially when they're in the right mood. I remember I went to a school the other day, a few weeks back, where there were many, many questions. And one of the questions really struck me, said something like, what is the most important aspect of the philosophy? And unusual from a 9-year-old. And it got me thinking, and I said, well, the most important is that you don't cause anybody any harm. So even within your mind. So as I was answering, actually, I was beginning to try to put that into practice in my own life. So I think probably for the first time I understood that answering a question actually helps one to develop some of the qualities of what you are trying to answer. So what you're trying to say. So that was really enlightening for me. That question was such an amazing question. And it certainly helped me for a little while. So the mood of question is very important. And the benefits are huge for so many different people. assuring Sukadev Goswami said that he feels no distress from fasting, because this is, he's got 7 days to live. And Parikshit Maharaj, he was not going to drink or eat. Now, to not eat is okay for 7 days. That's possible. We know many people who fast for even more than 7 days. But to fast from water is really challenging. For maybe a day or two, you can do it, but after that, it becomes very hard. So he was assuring Sukadeva Goswami, don't worry. I don't feel any, I will not feel any distress from not having any water, because I'll be drinking the nectar of Krishna Katha coming from your mouth. So this is really amazing, because for 7 days he didn't drink, he didn't eat. And this, many people wonder, how is that even possible? Well, he did it by drinking the nectar of Krishna Katha. Highly pleased by such a request, Shukadeva Goswami prepares to answer Parikshit Maharaj's questions. So this is the end of chapter 8. Lots and lots of questions, and we're going to see lots and lots of answers in the over the next few cantos. Any Surinder, anything you'd like to contribute?
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Prabhu, Nitai Gaura Haribol, Shri Nityananda Chandram Patita Sharanadam Gauradam Tam Bhajeham. Yes, Prabhu, very interesting Krishna Katha. And King Parikshit has been inquisitive. So in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, it explains that the 4 types of people, they surrender to Lossy Krishna. So one of the type is those who are inquisitive. So Maharaj Parikshit is one of the example, is inquisitive. And also inquisitiveness is in the forest of Naimisaranya. The sages Sonaka Rishi and Sutta Goswami. So in this way, inquisitiveness. This is another example. And also those who are in distress, they surrender to Krishna. An example is Gajendra. He offered prayers to Lord Shri Krishna. And those who are in search of wealth, an example is Dhruva Maharaj. And those in search of absolute truth, the example is the 4 Kumaras. Like that, yes. So also it explained here about something mentioned about distress. So I was going to refer to the Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and the first chapter summarily describes the 6 characteristics of pure devotional service. So number 1 is pure devotional service brings immediate relief from all kinds of material distress. Second is pure devotional service is a beginning of all auspiciousness. Third, pure devotional service automatically puts one in transcendental pleasure. Fourth, pure devotional service is rarely achieved. And fifth, those in pure devotional service deride even the conception of liberation. That is, they deride the Mayavad concept. Sixth, pure devotional service is the only means to attract Krishna. Krishna is all attractive, but pure devotional service attracts even him. This means that pure devotional service is even transcendentally stronger than Krishna himself, because it is Krishna's internal potency. So also in this chapter, there is many questions asked by Parikshit Maharaj, but summarily, some answers have been provided in Prema Vivarta, and it is referring to the chapter of the journey of the Jiva soul. And the verse are as follows. I'll just recite 2 very simple verses. It starts like that. Kabhu Raja, Kabhu Praja, kabhu vipra sudra, kabhu dukhi, kabhu sukhi, kabhu kita kshudra. Nitai Gauranga Jaya, Nitai Gauranga. Nitai Gauranga Jaya, Nitai Gauranga. Kabhu Swarge, Kabhu Martye, Narake va Kabhu. Kabhu Swarge, Kabhu Martye, Narake va Kabhu. Kabhu Deva, Kabhu Daitya, Kabhu Dasa Prabhu. Nitai Gauranga Jaya, Nitai Gauranga. Nitai Gauranga Jaya, Nitai Gauranga. So these verses describe the journey of the Jiva soul. As per our karmic reactions, we're wandering throughout the different planetary systems and also in different bodies. But whatever, sometimes happy, sometimes in distress, but in whatever conditions we are, we should always simply chant Nitai Gauranga Jaya, Nitai Gauranga, and the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, of course. Like that, Prabhu. So we try to be practice Krishna consciousness to serve and please Hari Guru and Vaishnava. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. That was very nice information that you provided today. Thank you. Any other questions or any other comments? Any comments or questions?
I think Parikshit, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Parikshit Maharaj has asked so many questions.
Yes.
So, yes. I want to know the answers.
Yeah, correct.
You have shared, quite a few answers there. So at least, for now, there is, the inquisitiveness is sort of, settled. But yeah, otherwise I would have asked you for more that, at least we need to have some answers. You can't just leave with questions.
Correct. Now, over the time of the 7 days that Sukadeva Goswami explains to Parikshit, he goes through in a lot of detail on many of these questions. So thank you so much. Yes, you're absolutely right, though. Important to know the answers. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Parikshit also says, tell me more because I might not have asked all the questions as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, that struck a chord with me, Yeah, we might not know. I think I'm going to borrow that line.
Yeah, we might not know what to ask.
Exactly. Yeah, sometimes we don't even know what to ask. We are so in awe, or we are so, just lost ourselves into the surroundings, isn't it? So we don't know what exactly to ask or what's the right thing to ask. So that definitely did strike a chord with me. Yeah.
That's why often the sadhus, they give class, and when you're listening, in fact, as you listen, you have questions, but as you're listening, the questions automatically get answered. That's your point, and that's your point. That we don't know what to ask, but when the sadhu explains, the answers are just coming through. Prabhupada was expert. Our Guru Maharaj was expert at that. I used to have so many questions, and then as the class went on, he was answering them one by one. And I thought, wow, how do you do that?
So true, Prabhuji. Yeah.
Very good. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Shruti. That was amazing, and thank you, everybody, for. Hare Krishna. To see you all next week.
Next Friday is actually Go Punim. So we'll have Abhishek in the afternoon, but normal Bhagavatam class at 7 onwards.
Yeah. Makes sense. Okay. Hare Krishna, everybody. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Beautiful deities.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.